Speaking of fishing for that third attack or what to do with your third action, one of my favorites that I picked, and I think a lot of people probably agree with this, is Assurance.
Mm.
Um, this is kind of like a feat that you can actually take multiple times for different skills. And like the previous one, it's very much a utility focused skill feat in that one of my favorite things I've seen that people have done with this, it makes a lot of sense, is a lot of times with your third action, if you're like a martial class, like a barbarian or a fighter or something, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to use your third action to attack because the odds of you hitting are extremely low unless you have other feats that kind of bulk up that multiple attack penalty. With assurance, so the other downside is that it's anything with the attack trait, not just attacks, right? So there's a lot of skill actions that you want to do on your third action instead that also have the attack trait. So you even those would have the multiple attack penalty. Like I believe trip is one of those, which is a popular one. Um, so with assurance, you get that 10 plus your modifier, right? Or yeah, 10 plus your modifier and your proficiency and all that. So it's like you can actually forego that multiple attack penalty if you know you already have a reasonable chance to hit and kind of use assurance on one of those skill actions. So like you could use assurance on trip and I apologize for my dogs being rowdy right now. But you can use assurance on the third action for trip, for instance, and instead of taking that multiple attack penalty, you would just take 10 plus whatever bonus you get. Of course, this only works if you already have a reasonable chance to hit anyway. Like if the creature you're fighting or the entity you're fighting is already a couple levels above you, it might not be the best choice. It's still going to be better than multiple attack penalty, but so that's a kind of unique application of this particular skill feat that I think is kind of cool. And it's of course it's useful outside of combat too, right? Which is also
Assurance
nice.
you can take assurance a million times.
Yeah.
Every skill, you take assurance in. One of my players in my seafaring campaign just used assurance for basically manning the ship because they wanted to guarantee not fail. And their assurance was like, I think 19. I was like, the DC is 20 to dodge that iceberg.
Oh.
Uh, they were disappointed. I feel bad for making that DC that 20 with their assurance because they had just taken it to avoid it.
I mean
But
that's the
at least
game,
it
right?
guarantees them when they're on the open sea not to get lost.
Yeah.